Okay, so this video here, Fantastic Four First Steps is another female-centric MCU disaster. What's FemCU, right? Okay, so let me just zoom out a bit. There we go. I've got really bad eyesight, so there you go.
Recently, another test screening for Marvel's upcoming Fantastic Four First Steps, and reports to come out of it have been mixed, with some praising Galactus, some praising alleged Lovecraftian angles, some saying the movie is alright, none of which matters one bit. It's toast anyway. Because by all accounts, it's another female-centric installment.
Female Silver Surfer. There you go. So it kills the elegance of the design as well. They just killed it, right? The original Male Silver Surfer is gone. They knew this would create a backlash, right? It just doesn't work. Just doesn't work, does it? Okay.
Of the MCU. Let's dive in.
Alright. You know what? Okay. Jack Kirby, Silver Surfer. Let's look at the elegance of the original Silver Surfer. Like you see? There you go. The creator of the Silver Surfer, Jack Kirby. There you go. That's Silver Surfer, the original Silver Surfer. There's an elegance to the character. There's a silver simplicity to it. Okay, and it's been shit on. So they don't care about the Fantastic Four, right? They don't care about profits.
There have been many rumors surrounding the new Fantastic Four. Some from WDW Pro, some from Overlord DVD,
Yeah, don't take this clown seriously. The amount of coke that's come from this channel is staggering, right?
himself, and some from elsewhere.
So, Overlord DVD, Captain Kennedy's just about to get fired for like the past 5 years. Yeah, pure cope.
Altogether, and none of these rumors have been any good. Before we get into any of their scoops though, let's begin with looking in at someone who wants the MCU to succeed and who by default is all about female representation. And who for all that still has some very based takes.
No, if you're all for female representation, you don't have base takes, right? Because for female representation just means shoving the men out. That's all it means. It's not even for 50-50 females. It's like push more females. There's no demand for female superheroes. They're sidekicks, they're side characters, they're support characters. They've never been successful female superheroes, really. It hasn't. No, I'm going to explain why. Because men like the female form, they like women, but they want to identify with the main character. They identify with male characters, they can't identify with females, right? And even though they find females attractive, it's not enough for them to buy the comic. They got to identify with the character. Okay? Yeah, a lot of Marvel comics is just fan fiction written by females. I'm not exaggerating. It's literally bad female fan fiction writing. I'm going to do a video soon reviewing Marvel comics written by females. And you'll see a constant pattern. So, wordy dialogue, clunky exposition, expressing their emotions in a very autistic way, pardon my usage of that word, right? Stereotype that's applied to men, but it seems to apply to women in a fan fiction, how they write fan fiction, right? And it's now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. And also they introduce these female characters out spite to ruin it for the men too. Okay.
Not try to hide the fact that the test screening did not go well.
And I heard that, let's just...
So this woman's not based, right? She's a feminist. She's not based. No feminist is based. They're all trash.
Say any executives who are at the test screening didn't need to look at the comment cards to find out that the audience thought the movie was medium. Let's just put it that way.
Spoilers leaked, so now...
So the movie's complete shit then, because this is how, if it's medium, it means it's complete shit because of people's lower standards of movies. The Fantastic Four were the first superhero team in the first comic of the modern Marvel era in 1961. Okay? And you can't really do the Marvel Cinematic Universe that introduces them later on because it kills the whole point of the Fantastic Four. They're the first family of the Marvel Universe. Okay? Now, look, okay, the reason Marvel didn't introduce them first was beyond their control because they didn't have the rights to it, right? Okay? The copyright was owned by Fox, I think. They said they didn't have the right to make any movies of them. So, but they're not helping themselves by, like, doing it like this.
We know that the child of Reed and Sue, Franklin Richards, is in the movie, and he too is super duper powerful, just like Sentry and Wanda before him. So maybe
that's from the comics, by the way, right? Which
maybe the audience.
So Franklin Richards is omnipotent, more powerful than Celestial, and can keep Galactus as a pet. He's that powerful.
Won't respond all that well to this power inflation.
Stick your neck out. Take that ferry. Go clubbing in Estonia.
But I don't understand why there are 3 of these. And they're in such quick succession. Like, they don't even give any of them a chance to breathe. And they are already moving on to the next one. So, to me, that's weird. Oh, Mike, if you don't know who Franklin is, this is Sue Storm and Reed Richards' son. And he is, of course, he actually is technically supposed to be a mutant. I mean, we'll see if they continue with that. But he's a Nexus being. And so, I'm curious to see how this goes over with audiences. To have somebody so powerful.
The real problem with the movie, though, as we and many in our sphere have alluded to the whole time, is the ladies. Not that they are in the movie, mind you, but how they are portrayed, because Kevin Feige is an ideologue who seemingly...
He's a feminist. He's a feminist nutcase, right? He's a male feminist lackey to the feminist hate movement. So this is not woke, right? Because they do introduce tokenism for other ethnic groups, but it's all mostly women, right? Okay? And the tokenism for ethnic groups is actually not that bad, even though it's done for the wrong reasons a lot of time, just to trigger the chuds, okay? Right? But the tokenism with women, it's not even tokenism with women, because they're dominating it, they're just dominating it. It's there to disrupt and destroy and take away what men enjoy. It's done out of spite, right? It's there to hog up space. Okay.
Worships at the altar of gender ideology.
Then
He can't even use the word feminism because he's scared of getting demonetized, right?
I'm very worried about the MCU situation. That's a lot of us don't like that term, which has really taken it's a very effective term. It has really taken hold.
So why can't men have stuff for themselves? Male geeks, why can't they have stuff for themselves? Why? Yeah. Like Disney makes stuff for women successfully, stuff for princesses and stuff like that, fairy tale type stuff. Okay, so why can't men have their own stuff? Why? Can someone explain this to me? That's a rhetorical question, by the way.
And I do think that there are some instances, where Marvel has leaned into it to such a degree that, it's hard not to use that as a description when you're like, but, like, what do you want from me, man? If it was better balanced, you wouldn't be able to use that.
That, of course, is true, with Bob Iger's approval.
Yeah, it's never been about balance, has it? It's been about destruction, social dominance, having your own way, doing what you want. So these people just fell upwards. They come in, they inject feminism into these franchises. They hire narcissists to work on it as well, fellow feminist narcissists, because they network, and then they sabotage and bomb themselves, and then they carry on making more. These people fell upwards. Yeah, they network with each other and they fell upwards because they're political ideologues, they're feminists. Their politics comes first, everything else is distant second, right? They're vandals. And their political aim is to destroy what men like. That's it. That's how simple and sadistic it is. This is why people are confused. They don't understand a motive that's so simple and so sadistic They're in denial about it. They don't want to admit this to themselves. Men don't. And for years, it's always been these cope channels. Oh, get woke, go broke for the past 6 years. But they're not going broke, are they? They're still around, yeah?
Kevin Feige has seemingly pulled a Kathleen Kennedy. That is, do everything in his power to transition Marvel, a brand appealing primarily to male audiences, into a female brand. Also, like Kathleen...
So this can't be stupidity, right? It can't be. They know better. They just don't care.
Kennedy, Feige has failed to attract a new female audience by transing Marvel female this way. But he has...
Yeah, the thing is, they don't care. Getting a female audience is a bonus, but the main goal is to destroy what men like. It's been happening too many times. The complete contempt that men and male geeks are treated by. It's too much. It can't be a coincidence. It happens repeatedly. It happens in games as well, right? Here, like game developers like mouthing off at male nerds, showing that open contempt, and they keep on doing this. Yeah.
Has succeeded in turning off both the male and female audience that used to be into Marvel, so good job there. Because that's the thing, the audience is actively put off by the MCU, and by artificially putting women at the center of everything for purely ideological reasons.
And they're put off by the man hate as well, by the disparaging of men, making men into losers. Yeah, like making Thor into a fat, chubby, drunken loser who suffers depression, and it's mocking male depression. By the way, it's all the stereotypes of depressed males. Yeah, men don't want to see this. They don't. That's not Thor. Thor's never been like that. I'm sorry, but Thor's biggest weakness is he's sometimes prideful and arrogant. He has to be humbled by his father, right? He's never depressed and drinking. He's whatever.
The audience,
like if you want to have like an arc for a depressed character, that's for one of the side characters. That's not for Thor. But again, it's there to shit on men.
And ironically, especially the female audience, is repelled. Yet they keep on doing it.
Because women are not interested in superheroes. Yeah, they're interested in fan fiction and romance and so-called emotions. Women are not into emotions because stuff in male franchises, their emotions are actually more authentic. Okay, because it's based on real struggles, real status, real adventure, real danger, right? Okay, women, they're based on superficial emotions. Oh, this person's interesting because of this status, right? Okay, it's all about status worship, female romance novels, or there's this beastly workhorse or something like that. That's what it's all based on. It's all superficial. If you read fan fiction, it's like all based on like superficial socialization. Oh yeah, I just like this character, this weird quirky character, and they're just hanging around. There's a lot of this in Marvel stuff as well, which is complete crap.
Even in this upcoming movie, which we know courtesy of leaks from the test screening.
There's going to be no course correctment over this, right?
Like, I would think at this point that Marvel would be able to get out ahead of things and understand when they were going to run smack into the MCU allegation.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care.
And I was quite surprised to learn from this test screening. And, you know, I don't know, they could change things. I don't think it's too late to change anything. I mean...
So this blonde woman, who's very attractive, by the way, okay, do you think she would actually beat anybody if she wasn't a cute blonde? Just saying. There's such milquetoast generic opinions right here.
Be very late for last minute reshoots. So, how do I want to phrase this? Even though it's a team of one woman and 3 guys, I think that you're going to have a situation at the end of the movie where it's women who save the day. And you're like, why? Can't Reed at least be involved?
So Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four, okay, the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four, because his real power is not stretching. That's his secondary power, really. His real power is his brains, right? He's the one that wins most of the time for the team. Right? If the Fantastic Four encounters someone that's too powerful for them to deal with, he'll come up with a plan to beat the villain, right? To outsmart the villain or to whip up a gadget to win. The fact they've done this to Reed Richards just shows you what contempt they have. Yeah? So Reed Richard represents the male spirit of intelligence, curiosity, creativity, compassion, and ethics. Right? He's actually, when written correctly, he's one of the greatest heroes in comic book history. Okay, right, and he's reduced a bit player, from what I can see.
You know, you're like, come on, man. You know, like, come on. Let's see what they decide to do. I mean, I guess technically Franklin. So I guess, okay, so women and a baby. You know, and you're like, like, why do you do it? Like, I don't want to say MCU, but then you're like, but what am I supposed to say in response to that, you know?
So why didn't he gender swap Franklin to make him a girl, right? Surprised he didn't do that.
So, there then, we have confirmation of the rumors that it's the gender-bent female Surfette, alongside Sue Storm, and now Sue Storm's little baby, who will be saving the day. And here it bears repeating that these are not rumors, these are test screening reports, meaning this is what has been filmed. And
so I've never liked the glazing of Sue Storm, right? She was the weakest character at one point. She only had invisibility powers. She was still useful, right? Because it's stealth and being invisible is a useful power, but she was never a fighter. And they had to give her like force fields, right? And then they power wanked her, power creeped her to hell, and made her the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four, could beat Celestials. So Celestials are abstract beings, okay? She can rip a Celestial apart with her force field powers. Celestials are abstract beings who, when they face Thor, who can destroy a planet with his hammer easily, Thor whacked the Celestials with the hammer. He opened up a hole in the giant Celestial that was thousands of feet tall, and it just healed instantly. They're sort of like a ball. They're abstract entities on a different dimension, so you can't really harm them, right? And they were ignoring Thor as well. They were just healing injuries and ignoring Thor. Odin, whose magnitude's more times powerful than Thor, right? Okay, you could like make a galaxy disappear with a snap of a finger. He attacked the Celestials, okay, and he just ignored him. Okay, this is the power scaling we're talking about. The Celestials are walking pocket universes. Okay, and Sue Storm in the comics is beating them because they glazed Sue Storm because of female supremacy. This is female supremacy. That's all it is. The feminism and female supremacy destroys everything.
And this is how the movie ends as of right now, with two girl bosses taking out Galactus, seemingly without any help from the 3 out of 4 male members of the Fantastic Four.
So originally Galactus was defeated because the Fantastic Four had help from the Watcher, because the Watcher knew the Fantastic Four couldn't defeat Galactus. So Watcher basically broke his vow of non-intervention and told the Fantastic Four where the Ultimate Nullifier was, a really powerful weapon that could destroy the universe. Okay, and they got the Ultimate Nullifier. Okay, and they threatened Galactus with it to make him go away and leave Earth alone. It's like they wrote themselves into the corner and had to come up with a plot device to get themselves out of it, right? But yeah, there you go. Still a very good story from the 60s. Okay. I know Galactus has been turned into a jobber and he loses all the time now. Yeah, but that's how powerful Galactus is. Yeah, he eats worlds, for example.
Remember back when Pedro Pascal was first cast, and there were rumors that Marvel had already went through a list of more suitable actors, but no one wanted it. Allegedly because Reed Richards was written as such a soy boy cock, that taking on the role...
No, he'd been written as the typical male, like you. Soy boy cock, okay. Don't use the term soy boy, please. And I'm going to say, from your facial structure, okay, you're in no position to call anyone soy boy using anti-male language like that. I'm just saying Midnight's Edge, that your avatar is accurate to you, okay? You're not exactly the most masculine man to ever exist, yeah? You don't even look like you can grow a proper beard, so just tone it on the male aggression.
Essentially would be bad for their image and brand. That Disney only resorted to hiding Pedro Pascal because he's a company man, and one who, for his own reasons, had no objection to how his character would be portrayed.
Yeah, so there's plenty of... So is Mark Hamill was cut soy boy, right? Like, there's plenty of examples of this. Okay, there's plenty of so-called masculine men who take that role, right? Okay.
I'm gonna lick the stick. I'm gonna lick the stick.
So so they're obsessed about his homosexuality. For some reason, they're triggered. So they've taken the intersectional bait again, right? They've taken the intersectional bait. So the feminists, they attach themselves to minority and queer issues and gain political capital with it and use them as a shield. And so when the right wingers attack them and go after the queers, right, the feminists can go, oh look, they're homophobic, and the right wingers fall for this every single time because they're low IQ and they're stupid. Yeah, the same mistakes get made over and over again, over and over again. So what you have to do to push back against the feminists, you've got to call out the feminists, ignore the minority groups, and ignore all the gay people, the lesbians and the gays, the male homosexuals, yeah, ignore the trans, right, and you go straight after the feminists. So the victory condition here is we have to change the culture so much where feminists lose their job. So they can't take over corporations, yeah, because feminists have taken over Disney. It's as simple as that. Marvel, Disney, LucasArts, owned by Disney, they've taken that over, yeah? Okay.
Then I'm gonna put it in my butt. Put it in my butt. Put it in my butt.
This is good. I'm actually glad that right-wing morons are triggered by this. So camp it up. This is great.
Well, those rumours were just tacitly confirmed.
So you can tell this guy's homophobic, yeah?
And it gets worse still.
And the thing is, I'm gonna be real here. I'm gonna do the judging your looks, rating your looks, right, from your avatar. That's you, okay? So that person playing Reed Richards, okay, he's far better looking than you. He's higher on the scale than you are, right? You're growing like a face shape hiding beard, yeah, okay. He's just better looking than you, and he's more masculine than you. I'm just saying, yeah, okay. Not that I care. I don't care about masculinity one way or the other. But I'm just saying, by your own standards, he's a better man than you, and he's higher status than you, right? And he gets to bang women you would not. Maybe he's gay. I don't know. Maybe he's camping up there. Maybe he's gay. But if so, so if he's gay, he's getting all the like fit, big dick men that he wants. And if he's not gay, if he's straight, he's getting all the women he wants that you can't get. I'm just saying. That's just the truth.
WDW Pro has reported that the movie is undergoing extensive reshoots as test audiences have not responded well to the movie's ending, which is so obviously ideologically driven.
And there's going to be no course correction. Yeah, there's no course correction for this. Also, people watch Netflix because they want something on the background because they're obsessive and compulsive and they can't stand the silence. They can't tolerate the silence. I've seen this with my own eyes, hanging around people in their homes, and I was shocked by this. They just leave it on all the time, right? They just leave it on all the time. It's more than one person I've seen do this now. They just leave it on all the time. They want something on the background, and they don't care really what they're watching. So this stuff is still going to be made, right? And it's still going to be paid for, and it's still going to make profits one way or the other. This is going to be a tax write-off.
That one could hope that the reshoots were aimed at fixing that. But nope, not according to Doomcock. His Hollywood spies report that the reshoots are about shooting more female gender-bent Silver Surfette from before she was transformed into Silver Surfette. So audiences will get...
So they're doing reshoots and they're spending money to double down on the feminism. This is great stuff here. They could do what they want. They are the winners. You are the losers. Men are the losers. You right-wing male nerds are especially the losers because you've got false consciousness. You're spinning your wheels forever, raging. They can do what they want, and you can't stop them.
To know her more and presumably like her more. And if there is merit to this report, and honestly, at this stage, I see no reason to think there isn't, then that only goes to show that Marvel has indeed learned nothing, because they seem to think that spending more screen time on one of the movie's two girl bosses...
It's there to shove it in men's faces and force them to accept it. It's sadism. It's a form of like mind rape, bypassing the consent of men, not giving them a choice. Men don't consent to this, they don't want it, but because they hold us in such contempt, right, they're going to shove it down our throat. So I've noticed this is actually very common. Very common to start the Star Wars fandom, right? So there's large elements of the Star Wars fandom that basically tell the male geeks that you don't like this. The fact you don't like this, the sequel trilogy is invalid, right? You're toxic, you're problematic, you're a loser, you're a misogynist, you're a creep. So they're telling us what we like, what we can and can't like, right? This is how much contempt they have for men. Like, we don't go into like female spaces, look at their romance novels, and say that they suck and you're not allowed to like them and take it away from them, right? Then change it out of spite. We don't do that, but women do. Yeah, this is female led, by the way, because the men who would do this, they're front men for the feminists, and there's lots of powerful feminists who are behind this as well.
Is going to solve their girl boss problem, which it isn't. And make no mistake about it, devoting so much story space to female characters for wholly inorganic, ideologically driven reasons is a problem that has damaged the MCU greatly, and it will...
So, female characters, when written well, are there for emotional support and validation of men. So, one I can think of off the top of my head is the Goonies, right? The Goonies. Okay, so there's a female teenage character, and there's a boy that she sort of thinks, ew, low status at first, right? I was a bit weary of them, and then they have a kiss later on, and they become close and become friends, right? Okay, and it's an age gap relationship, but she's like 15, he's like 13, they have a kiss in it, and they become friends, but she goes off with the older boy, but they're still friends, they still like each other, they're still affectionate, they give each other an affectionate hug right at the end. Yeah, so you don't get that in modern stuff now, right? Because it's taken away from men, yeah, and boys and males. Yeah, good female secondary characters, right? Which women are in superhero comics. They're emotional support. Okay, that's all they should be, really, to be honest. Because no one really cares about female superheroes outside of that, more or less. And that's not even my opinion. The sales show this. There is very rarely any long-term successful superheroine comic, right? Even Wonder Woman didn't sell that much.
Will be the end of this movie.
Like, you got these great characters here, you know, Reed, Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm, you know, and then you're like, you know, we'll see how it goes down.
Ben Grimm, when written correctly, is an iconic character. He's actually the most popular, and he's the best member of the Fantastic Four. And the second is Reed Richards. But they're all good if they're written correctly and they know their place, right? If the writers know their place, I mean. Okay? But no. Having Sue as a girl boss leader distorts the balance of the team, of the story.
See how audiences react to it, but I don't know. I think it's not a good idea. I'm just surprised that when they pitch this stuff, someone doesn't say, well, guys, how do you...
So, Midnight Edge are showing this, blonde woman. It's because they're trying to say, oh, we're not misogynists, right? Look, a woman agrees with us. That's what they're trying to do.
How do you feel about the MCU allegations that keep getting sent our way and do seem to be having an effect on how people perceive our brand? And then I'd be like, you know, I'm not saying we have to take anything away from anybody, but can I add like one guy into this? Like, just one guy. Can he just like...
I'd love to take away the female characters from this and put them in a secondary role again, because men should be allowed to go, this is ours, this is for us, we enjoy it, we have a right to have stuff that appeals to us, that targets our demographic, leave us alone, right? They should be allowed to put boundaries and gatekeep.
Kind of help out too. It can be a win for all of them, maybe. Can we? So, I don't know. I'm just really surprised.
The problem, of course, goes beyond this one movie, which frankly, you might as well write off at this point. The real problem is that this is the lead-in to Avengers Doomsday, and who is going to care about that when Marvel has just lost about all credibility and goodwill they ever had? And when we get to the point where no one cares about the Avengers, can Marvel even be fixed? How long is Disney going to keep throwing good money after bad on a brand that they destroyed by infusing it with diversity, equity, and inclusion?
So he's taking the intersectional bait again, when he should just say feminism. Just put feminism in. Yeah? Look what they did to Thor there. Turned him into a fucking loser. This is feminism. Okay? It's about time you stopped using euphemisms. Okay. That's all for now. Over and out.